Thank you. Good. Well, let us start because I think Dee Dee might be just a little bit late, and that's okay. Um, well, so we are going on. Um,
Okay.
Jack, of course, has to go back to school at some point, but we don't know what that's going to look like. He says he's
Mhm.
signed up for 21 units, and that's all of his time. So
Yeah.
I have suggested that maybe, and his parents, of course, don't want him to go back down to live with four boys in a, in a frat house, and just not
Yeah.
safe. And so I wanted to suggest to him that one of his projects continues to be Screen 360 TV, and he consult with his professors to allow him to do that somehow and get credit.
Mhm.
So that conversation is beginning. Um, and another thing has begun. There's a colleague from the, well, we actually met at the Prix Jeunesse. Are you aware of the Prix Jeunesse conference?
No, I'm not.
This is a conference that's been happening in Munich since 1964, every other year, and it's sponsored by the television station, the Süddeutsche Rundfunk in Munich, that sponsors research for children's programming, and
Mhm.
it's a great organization. And after years of spending my winters in Berlin at the Berlin Film
Mm,
Festival, as often the sole American in the section,
mm.
I found that all of the Americans were at the Prix Jeunesse in Munich, and
Ah,
strictly for television. And I see there's a lot of activity, of course, for television for young people in the United States, and that's an area. I understand that the audience is the same, and we should.
mm.
But there's a very strong hierarchy there with PhDs and at Rutgers and UCLA, whom we'll meet on tomorrow, and it's just there's a lot of gatekeepers, and I
Yeah.
think that I'll just stay with film. That's my familiarity, and continue to proceed as a film festival in the way that I know. And so that said, Russell Miller and I met in 2018, and he has a similar idea. He's Harvard trained, has been teaching at City University, New York, and his model is somewhat different, and he's focusing on 6 to 12 years old, and
Mm.
we pivoted to focus on seventh grade and up. So this could be a nice symbiotic relationship. And I suggested to him when we met that we join forces. And now he's coming around and wants to join forces. And I think it's helpful to have a New York
Yeah,
center,
absolutely.
yeah, and also a younger age, and he's already got access to great material and doing things slightly differently. I haven't quite wrapped my head around the way he's doing it, but it's more of a package of films that the subscribers can use over 4 months. Seems like that's how it works, and and it's subscriber generated, so they can watch that packet whenever they want over that period of time. Similar,
Got it.
and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
not the Q&A component. There's some interaction through text, but there's not a synchronous Q&A
Mm.
component, which is our selling point. And so
Yes.
that's what's on our plate right now. And I should ask you, and Russell wants to talk at noon, so I just want to slow it down. We've had a couple of rich exchanges over yesterday, um, and I'd like to get our team together and pace it a little bit and have some
Yeah.
milestones. And this is what we've been working on this week. And I also wrote to Steve Weinstein and asked him if we could work with him in his accelerator The X4S. Do you know something about the X4S accelerator?
I know about the one with BMNT.
I guess that's it. And it's he does that with Peter Newell.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm actually there are 6 teams that came from Hacking for Defense
Aha.
that they took into this accelerator, and then I'm actually running those 6 teams to try to get them to be real companies, real product fits, and kind of
Okay.
coaching them through all the whole incubator experience.
Oh, excellent. So you're on that now.
Yeah,
And when
yeah, I'm
does
doing that
that
now.
when does the next session begin?
This is the first time they've done it, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think our expectation is it'll take a couple of months to get these teams to the point where we can decide whether they're going to make it
Ah,
uh, or not. But they got a grant from BMNT to proceed under the BMNT incubator.
I'll have to look up BMNT. Are those the last names of people, or just
No, it's a military term. It's like before morning, near twilight, or something like that.
oh, kind of poetic. But
Yeah,
I guess that's when the strikes happen.
yeah, yeah.
I
Somehow,
get it. I get it.
military and poetic may not always go together, but
Yeah. I wish it would, but
so so how can I be helpful to you guys?
well, that's what I was going to ask you. Both your, I read that you and your wife have patents together, and she has some of her own and so do you work as a team? Sometimes, sometimes not. I guess
Yeah, sometimes she worked. She was a family therapist forever,
I saw that. Yeah.
and yeah, and then we she did the board of lines for a
Hmm.
while, um, and then we helped them do some promotional materials, put some DVDs together, and
Ah,
produce some videos for them. And then she and I did Wordlock together,
yeah. I haven't looked deeply at that.
which was a retail company. We
Ah,
made a consumer packaged good product, um, and uh, so sometimes we work on things together. Sometimes she's off doing her thing. So
mm-hmm. Is she consulting? Is she consulting as a therapist or in her social work background?
no, not really. She's just staying connected to people, and she hasn't gotten plugged into anything
Mm,
again yet.
mm, mm.
Uh, she just had her knee replaced in March, so
Yeah,
she's kind of was taking the time to rehab a bit.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I understand that. I understand that.
yeah,
Well,
but she's great.
that's great. And we have had social workers on our, well, I should say, as a brick and mortar, when we were a brick and mortar festival, uh, our award, our one award, is named after a social worker in San Francisco Family Courts. And so to judge that award, we had two members of, well, actually, there's a member of the San Francisco Family Court social work team who is married to a filmmaker at San Francisco State, a film professor. So the two
Uh,
of them and one other social worker from Family Court judged the films and selected our award-winning film. And
oh, nice,
yeah, yeah. So
nice. That's
there's
very nice.
a close tie with social work, of course,
Yeah,
with children and um,
and so
we
your focus, as you say, is on like 7 to 12, or
seventh grade,
yeah,
seventh grade to 12th grade, and
okay,
really with the sweet spot being like 7 to 16, to 15. Is at 16 and 17, they're starting to look already towards college. And hopefully, film can catch on by then, but the earlier
Yeah.
years really are the time when kids are starting to become the person they're becoming. And I
Right.
have looked at that part and how dreams participate in a young person's decisions. And we're also looking at, of course, how international films offer access to something different to support a child's imagining of the thing that is um, that they want to do, if they want to do something different, to explore over borders. And we, of course, encourage that kind
Yeah.
of artistic, creative thought. And so that's what Screen 360 is built on. We're fortunate to, and I might have mentioned that, I mentioned it a couple of times, even though I wasn't supposed to. We have a $250,000 matching grant from European Venture Capital.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, it's really nice. And we are, of course, are looking for the best way to find partnerships that can support parts of that. And we're organized as we're incorporated at the moment, and so there's
Hmm.
equity involved. And
Hmm.
so we're proceeding that way rather than a nonprofit, because we feel that there's um, an accessible number of audience members out there who can pay a nominal fee for access and you know, reach
So
films.
can you tell me a little bit about the business model that you've thought about so far?
Well, initially, of course, before COVID
Yeah.
struck, it
Yeah.
was a license-based um, business model with graduated fee scale from classroom slash homeschool being at the most accessible rate, about $200 a year, and then higher up to 1,500 for a school, a K-12 school, and a school system would be a multiple of the number of schools. And so that is the business model to start. But now we are looking at subscription, um, working with the single classroom homeschool subscription and single subscriber. And Jack is a proponent of that, and also feels that we should have a different kind of app that's accessible, certainly on tablets, which was
Right.
a direction I had taken while in Germany, and we agreed that was a direction that we would take eventually. Um, but so that is the model. The first things we need to do, of course, are work on the technical uh, MVP, both tablet accessible with an application and the portal online. And so um, over the last months, I've been looking for um, CTO candidates and
Right.
doing some interviewing when my advisor, who's Chris Liano, he had 19 years with Cisco, so was very familiar with
Great.
the streams, video streams, and he and I went to grammar school together, and so
Oh,
he two of my advisors and I went to grammar school together, and our grammar school was Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, very, very, very diverse class, and I was a minority, and this is and we came from that experience, and we are all still connected, and I see this as a great strength, and this is what we hope to do with Screen
right.
360 TV. And that said, there is an advisory board from when I was a nonprofit fiscally sponsored project.
Great. And how, where are you in the confirming the value prop with the prospective customers, the schools and students and
Well, I mean, we've tested considerably, and I've tested
Mhm.
in several case studies from classroom. Um, that said, the cost was not tested when the technical aspects and the content aspects were tested. So classroom hospital, there is a hospital model that I tested initially at Stanford with Lucille Packard, and also tested that in Germany, and that was the way we were going to take the company while in Germany. But I was not surviving there, so I came back to take
Yeah.
advantage of the women-run offerings, venture capital for women, and so this here we are still. Um, where else? And refugee camps. I also tested in Germany, and so that was something that um, I talked to the FEMA folks about, that not quite their area, and I think
Hmm.
that's some place where Peter Newell could also support. And uh, so, as far as funds raised, there are no further funds raised along with that 250 matching fund, but with if we partnered with Russell Miller, he also has um, he's just come out of an accelerator himself in New York, and he feels that he
Hmm.
has um, funding close at hand. So I believe that between the two of us, we can develop that funding. But yet, because we're just beginning to team, that has to be
Right.
designed. That has to be
Right.
designed.
Right. So, I mean, from the standpoint of the where you are as a company,
Hmm.
as you've got this very interesting idea about helping people understand different cultures and how they can grow, how this can benefit students.
Sure.
Is that part of a curriculum? Is it part of a just the school says, "Hey, we're going to turn you on to this," or is it actually part of a curriculum that gets taught? Or
Yeah. Well, this is what we are directing it to. We're directing it
Mhm.
to uh, AP, the advanced placement programs in many schools, and the international baccalaureate requirements. And so we're going through our films and assigning them um, these qualifications. Um, we also have learning goals that we request from each user, and those are
Mhm.
being able to deliver a couple of words in the film's original language, because we play the films in their original languages. We use simultaneous translation or overdubbing if necessary,
Mhm.
but that's more the younger groups, and so we use subtitling, and I don't think there's simultaneous translation necessary for 12-year-olds and up. They're strong readers.
Yeah.
But we asked them to tell us about the film, not just whether they liked it or not. We asked them to expound on that. So we hone discernment through our questions. We ensure that they're able to repeat back what they experience. So expression and that part is recorded actually. And
Mhm.
so the last 5 minutes of our session, we ask the student to think about those learning goals, and then we turn on the record and ask them to record for us. And that's what we keep in our archives for an
Mhm.
asynchronous offering, to check and see what a child from this part of the world thought about this film. And so those are available.
And then do you use some of that to like mine the data of what people are feeling about each of those films to be able to say, hey, if this is the kind of thing you're interested in, these are the films we've curated that resonate with people to understand more about.
Yes, certainly, certainly. We'll use those both for promotion by agreement, of course, and oh, sorry about that. Um, and then yes, mining the data for further research and education. Um, the research is not only for educators, but for emerging filmmakers. And what we hope is that Screen 360 TV is embedded at a film school, and that these emerging filmmakers, film students, are supporting the development and the production of Screen 360 TV. So they would take my role as moderator, they'd be trained as moderator. The design also includes an in-studio show in San Carlos. I don't know if you know Light Grid Studios. Um,
No.
Now, great team member and one of my advisors, and this is our studio where we would have a live audience with our satellite online audience, and
Hmm.
there would be a young person also supporting the moderation. So they would also have researched the film. They know a little bit more, and they introduce it. So there's more engagement, and that offers an opportunity for a young person to maybe be an intern or to serve for one quarter as a team member for Screen 360 TV. So we see numbers of ways of accessing the education that Screen 360 TV can offer. And that's one of,
And
pardon, go ahead.
how does it work with the simultaneous viewing with everybody being in different time zones and
Well, for instance, at 9 o'clock, I'll start a film, and we can go to well, I'll check first to see if anyone else has come on. Sometimes we have viewers, and sometimes we don't. We are aware that it will take a strong marketing effort to make people aware that Screen 360 TV is on and available. Um, so we have shows at 9, 10:30, and 5:30. 9 and 10:30 access uh, folks to the east, and
Mhm.
6 o'clock in Europe at 9 o'clock, and that's when we've had many of our programs. I'll go on earlier at 8 o'clock sometimes when requested, but it's through time, and we organize by time, and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Um, Great. Well, I think you're doing really interesting stuff. I think there's, I don't know enough about um, how the audiences react to it or you know, what the key learnings can be that schools would say, yeah, we really want to, this is beneficial and uh, we really see the value add to our students, right? Because schools certainly are always tight with the dollar, right?
Right, right, right. We know that, and
Yeah.
that's why we want to make it very accessible for them, but at the same time sustainable as a business. And of
Yeah.
course, there is the nonprofit route, but when you have $250,000 ready
Yeah.
to go, then
Yeah.
I think we're sensible in not going the nonprofit route. Although there are ways that we can access nonprofit funds and write for that, but that is when we're a larger company and we have professionals who can do that grant writing for us and
Yeah.
with us. And yeah, I mean, my experience is coming up through nonprofits. I worked for the San Francisco International Film Festival, the Mill Valley Film Festival, the Chicago International Children's Film Festival.
Wow.
And they're all
Yeah.
nonprofit, and they all struggle. And I want to try a more sustainable route. And I don't have 65 years to grow like the San Francisco
Yeah.
Film Festival, that it's
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
And but meanwhile, though, I'm up against 65-year-old well-established companies when I'm applying for funding. And so it
Yeah.
just makes sense to me to uh, go this route as a for-profit venture, especially where
Well,
we
I
have the
think,
world.
yeah, I mean, I think, people are rethinking what has to be done in person and how to take advantage of the fact that people around the world need to connect with each other and maybe without traveling so much. And they're
Yeah,
getting more and more used to doing things over the video screens and Zoom like this. So I think it fits in the the trending paradigms that are happening that are accelerating, and much of school is rethinking, education is rethinking how to use the online experience and
yeah,
how to make that all work. So I think it fits into the trends. Uh,
that's
just have
great.
to show enough value, and
So,
that the experience is interesting enough, and that the students really get enough out of it that the schools want to shell out money for it,
mhm,
um, and find some way to track, hey, this number of students watched it in the class or in the school, and um, here's what they got out of it. Some way to reflect back to the school, if the school is the purchaser, that here's how much in a month this was used, here's what the comments were or the takeaways, here's how we expanded people's minds, kind of thing, something that
sure.
shows, right?
So,
Has
well,
that been part of your thinking?
oh, certainly assessment. Yes, of course. I mean, along with the learning goals and hearing the user say what they've learned. I've also, over the last 3 months, as we've been doing a pro bono offering on Screen 360 TV, I've captured our our experiences with young users near and far. And one class in Berlin, of course, was there an Italian-German class, and it happened that one of our films is from an Italian filmmaker. And so he
Hmm.
presented that to them, and they had a conversation in Italian, and it was translated for me. And this was great. This was great. I mean, it can happen that way. So I have
Yeah.
recordings of that. So I have a lot of qualitative um, ex- uh, proof, and that also can be eventually analyzed for quantitative value. And then there's Finding Felix, which is the documentary I've made, and it's not quite finished, and it's just 9 o'clock. Would you like to see how I do a Screen 360 TV?
Yeah, I've got to drop in just a couple of minutes, but
Okay.
I can, yeah.
No one else is coming on yet. I've been so far the prototype is this, and I'll just show the the trailer. And let me bring that up.
Okay.
There we are. I have that behind here. Just one moment. Just like to uh, so I've made several playlists, and to make it easier for me, so when I do need to jump, there we are, and I'll share the screen. And this has been a useful, there we are. Oop. And I believe, can you see that YouTube screen?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I'll open it up. Let me stop the share. I'll take it off. I wonder what was your experience there? What was it?
So I only got to see the bar of the YouTube. It didn't play the video.
Okay, then I guess it was not sharing completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Whoop. And here's what's happening. I'm going to stop the share, and it continues to play. So that's one of our objectives, is to build that app so it's clean, it's ours, and it's more secure. At this point, our secure level, let's see here. Well, I'm gonna let that play. Okay. Where did it go? I'm afraid I have too many things on. There we are. There. Now, do you see this?
No, I hear the audio, but
You hear the audio? Okay, that's bizarre. All right, well, let me stop that. Ooh, the audio's good, isn't it? Here
yeah.
it is. Okay. It's disappeared, and that is why. Sorry about that.
No worries.
This hasn't happened before. And it's a sweet film called Lost and Found. And it's not showing up. All right. All right, Todd, I'm going to,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about this.
Yeah. No problem.
It's just, when Zoom, have you experienced that? When it slides into your, it goes away, and then you can't get it out. Okay.
Not a problem.
I hope I've.
So I'll go to the website, the Screen 360.
Yeah, would you please do that? Have a look,
Yeah.
and let's. I'm embarrassed that I can't.
So I'm pretty packed up between all the stuff I'm doing with Stanford and then the incubator and then a bunch of other consulting gigs. So if from time to time I can be helpful, if there's something you want to bounce off me, I'm an advocate for your cause.
I appreciate that.
I love film. We watch, we're big into film. So.
Well, I am actively raising funds. I send out an update to a cohort once a month or so. And would you consider yourself being a connector, and you can keep up on the updates?
Yeah, sure. That would be great.
Good.
Sure.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Keep me updated on all of that.
It's a great film. I'd love to show it to you sometime.
Yeah. Well, I'll go to the website and I'll play around with it.
Right. Thanks a lot, Todd.
And understand.
And we'll keep you informed.
Thing.
Okay.
Yeah, do that. That's great. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.